Alright YouTube, in this video I'm going to show you how to use TranslateZ property in CSS3 to achieve this animation. Now if I hover it, you'll see what TranslateZ usually do. We have three axes. The first one is x-axis, which is the horizontal line. The second one is y-axis, which is the vertical line, and then we have the z-axis, which is a perpendicular line to x and y. So that means if you make z-axis, you can see the div popping over the screen. So in this tutorial you'll be learning how to use the calculate function, how to use the variable, and how to use the translate property of CSS, and how to use variable in CSS3. So without wasting any time, let's just let's start creating the folder. I have already created a folder called this in the desktop, and I just have images in the name of I1, I2 and I3. Now let's create the Visual Studio Code. Now we just need to open the file or the folder. We have created the folder in the desktop. Click on open folder and browse to the desktop and just select the folder and click on the button called select folder. What are the files is there inside the folder? Visual Studio will pick it for you. As I already told you, we have images folder and it has 3 images. Now we are going to create 2 files in the HTML file and CSS on the same folder. Control N, Control S. We can give any name. I am preferring the name index.html, and again Control N, Control S. It's a shortcut to create new file, and I'm saving it in the name of style to style.css. You can give any name. The thing is, you just need the extension .css and .html is mandatory. Now since I'm using Visual Studio Code, if you type exclamatory tab, you will get the boilerplate HTML code. Don't forget to link the style sheet, link style.css, which we have named, and we need font awesome icons. So I prefer the website W3 School, which will have the CDN of it, CDN of the font awesome icon. Just copy the code and paste it. And in the style sheet, it is always recommended to have the custom created style sheet at the bottom. Now in the style sheet, I need the font called Poppins, so you can type Google font Poppins, and if you click on Poppins on the sidebar, you will see I have selected 2 font weight, which is regular and bold. If you click on insert, it will give you the code that you can paste it on the style.css. Now if you click on link, that you can link on the HTML. Now I would prefer for all element in the HTML should have the font family Poppins. So that's it for the setup. Now if I show you the HTML which we have created right now, it's going to be blank because we haven't added any HTML inside the body tag. Now the first thing is we need a unordered list. In the unordered list, we need a list item. In the list item, we can have image, or you can just say row. In the row, we can have column. The first column will have image, and inside the image folder, we can call the first image, and as a second column, we can have h3. You can have any heading, and this is going to be the title. And then we have paragraph. You can give any paragraph, let's say tutorial name, and just below it you can have a span tag, and this can display the date. Likewise, it is all likewise I would recommend to create a CSS variable as well. To create CSS variable, it's very simple. I'm going to give the variable name as I, so create an inline style hyphen I is going to be 1 for the first list item. You can give any number, but I prefer 1 because this I'll be passing it as a transition value. So this is first. Just copy the second one and make this third one. Just change the variable name to 2 and this variable name to 3. Change the image name as well. Now if I show you, this is how our HTML looks like. Cool. Let's get into the CSS. We have unordered list. Inside the unordered list we have list item, and inside the list item we have the class called a row. As we know, this row has two direct child. The first one is column, and first column has only image inside it, and the row has a second column as a child, and it has h3 and paragraph. If you press shift alt and down arrow, you will get the previous line copied to the second line. Then we have span tag. So why we are writing this in this fashion? Because to avoid overriding of CSS. In case if your website has multiple CSS style sheet files, sometimes it may override. So what CSS will do is, what the browser will do is, it is going to give the specificity. I would recommend you to learn what is specificity in CSS, which will allow our CSS code not to override with any other code. Now without wasting any time, let's directly jump into the CSS. So for all element, let me remove the padding, and for all element, let me remove the margin, and I want the width to be calculated excluding the margin and padding. That's why we write box sizing border box. Now again, as I have already mentioned, so let's just directly give width to the image so that we don't get let's just make width 100 pixel and height of 100 pixel. Refresh this, and this is how it shows. We want the width to be slightly bigger than the height. Cool. Now let's call the body, and whatever is there inside the body, I want the content to be at the center. We have just one parent which is unordered list. I want it to be at the center, so display flex align item center will vertically align, justify content center will horizontally align. In order for the align item to work, we need to give the a height of 100 vertical height. Now if this is how it looks. Now again, this acts as a column. I don't want all the list item to act as a column. I want it to act as a row. So again, display flex. Now all the list item will be displayed one on all the sides. So actually this tutorial we don't need this. Let that be as it is. Now we just need to remove the dot. So to remove the dot, display list style none will help. It will remove the bullet point. Now let me give the background color to the body so that we can get some good view. Background color red, not exactly the red, the lightest red as possible. Let me desaturate it. Now for all the list item, let me give the background color. Let me give the width. Let's just make this 400 pixel, and whatever is there inside the list item, we actually have a row. So let's make the column side by side, display flex, and all the list items should have some margin. So top and bottom 1 rem, left and right 0. If you want, you can make this 2 rem as well. We'll get the space from top and bottom. So this is top and bottom, and this is left and right. I don't need left and right, so I'm just leaving as it is. Now for all the element, let's just make the color as white for h3 and para and span. Actually we need to correct the CSS rule. Cool. Now it looks too small. You can make this 600 pixel, and if you want, you can make the height of the image slightly bigger. Let's just make this 250, and let's just make this 150. Cool. Now we have, this is the first column which has image. The second column with we can access the second column using child 2, and I want some padding left, which let's just say 1 rem, and whatever is there inside I want it to be at the center. So display flex, justify content, so this will horizontally align, so I want it to be at the start, and align items center, and I want it to be at, instead of side by side, I want one below the other, like h3 and then para and then span. So what you can do is we can add this property flex direction column, and in order for the align item to work we need to give a height to it, height of 100%. If I say 100%, it is going to take the height of the row. Since row don't have any height, we can give the height of the row as 100%. Now it will take the parent height for which is li, and the height is going to be, again we don't have specified the height. Let's just make the height same as the height of the image, which is 150 pixel. We have hard coded it. Instead of this, we can directly give height here to the second element, which is taking some space. Let me just remove the 100%, and let's just make this 120. Cool. Whenever if you stuck in such value, what you can do is you can get into the inspect. Let's just make this 150. Get into the inspect, and okay, it doesn't seem to have width, so we can give width to the column. Choose the column. If I say column, it is going to apply for column 1 and column 2. Width is going to be 25% for the first one, and for the second one let this be 75. Together it is going to be the sum of 100. Now width we have set it. It's time to set the height. Instead of making this 725, we can make this 45 and 55. So this is 55 and this is 45. Now select the second column, display flex, justify content. It is going so this is vertically aligning it. Let this be center, and align items flex start. So I just made the value wrong, so this is vertically the first justify content is horizontally aligning it. Justify content is vertically aligning it. Align items is horizontally aligning it. Now you can get the span. We can choose the, let's just give the hardcode value to the HTML, which is video player. So I have hard coded the value. Save this, refresh this. Cool. If you want, you can change the color of the row to slightly yellowish, just to see the contrast, and we can have the color as black unless we have given it. Let's just make this black for paragraph and span. Cool. Now we can give the column position relative. Because we are going to use position absolute to the span. Position absolute. which is right of 0 and bottom 10 percentage. Instead of right 0, let's just make this 10 percentage right. Cool. If you want, we can change the font weight for, we have two variation, 700 and 400. Let the heading have font weight of 700 and let the paragraph have font weight of 400. Cool. And we can reduce the font size 0.5 rem. It's too small. 8 rem. Cool. Now what we can do is, if you want, you can make this transparent. Just reduce the opacity, refresh this. Now it's just slightly transparent. Now what we can do is, we can add a font or some icons, which is date. Click on the first link which shows up. Just add this just above. It's better to copy paste the rest instead of copying it. Copy it, replace the span, again replace the span. Since we have CDN, it will automatically show you. And then we can have the author. The best match for author is, it is showing writing. You can have the writing icon. 4.7 is the CDN value which we have used. Now you can search on this link, writing, select the pencil. Now you can just copy this and paste it just inside the paragraph. Since for all the div the author is same, I'm just copy pasting it. You can have anything. You can have your name over there. We don't need this. Now you can close all the other. Cool. Now for the unordered list, we need to give perspective, which is 500 pixel, and then transform. We need to give one more property, which is transform style preserve 3D. Because we are going to use Z-axis. So to access the individual list item, what we can do is, we can call list item and pass the nth value. Let's just replace the background color to red. So we can access the first one. Let's just make this blue with opacity. The same way we can access the rest, second and third. Just click on this or just hover over the color. You can change the value. So this is second. I think let there be yellow for the third one. Now what we can do is, we need to give transform to the second element. Let the first be as it is. Transform. We will be passing two values. The first one is translate y of minus 15 pixel. You will see the second will be slightly moved forward. You can make this 25. Now you will see some overlapping. 65. The reason for giving transparent is I just want to show you that it is getting overlapped. Then we can have translate Z-axis of 150 pixel or just 100 pixel or just 70 pixel. The same way you can just copy this and pass it to here. This time 100 pixel or 120, 140. Of course we just need to increase the z-axis so that it is slightly above our screen. It should show as it is touching the screen. So we can make this 125. Cool. If you don't want the transition, you can directly make this 1 and again 1, opacity 1, and where the rest for the yellow, just make this 1. Now once I hover on the unordered list, I want all the transition to go away, so just copy it. Let's just make this as 0. We don't need any negative value. We can just make this 0 and the z-axis also 0. Hover it, so you can see there is quick movement. I don't want the quick movement, so let's add a transition to it. So call the list item, and as you remember we have passed the variable. Let's just give them as a transition value. So list item, where is list item? It's over here. So if I say transition 0.5s, if I hover it, so let's just pass the variable hyphen I. Refresh it. So it is just going to give you 1, 2 and 3. We need to multiply it with 0.5s. To calculate this, we'll have a CSS property called calc. Refresh it. We can make this 0.2s, a slight quick animation. So that's all for this tutorial. Thank you so much for listening.